welcome back. Now, nearly 900 South African Defence Force members are being deployed at Eskom power stations across the country. They'll assist the police in protecting infrastructure against potential sabotage and theft. Their deployment will be between 17 April to 17 October this year. Previously, 2,700 SANDF members were employed to assist police in March and April. Let's unpack this now with African Centre for Security and Intelligence Praxis Principal Associate Eldred de Klerk. Thank you so much for your time, Eldred. We do appreciate it. I think many people are looking at the situation and going, why does the government, especially the president, have to go as far as deploying SANDF when we have police? Why do you think this decision was taken?
Heidi, thank you for the opportunity to clarify the matter. I think if we can put ourselves in the shoes of Cabinet, the need for ensuring that the country has energy security going forward, which also leads to, it impacts food production, it impacts our ability to manufacture, it impacts industry, and it also impacts the quality of our lives. So making sure that our critical infrastructure is protected is a secondary duty for the South African National Defence Force. So they can be legitimately deployed to ensure that our critical infrastructure is protected. This frees up the South African Police Service, who's already under much stress and duress, to do their critical function, which is the day-to-day ensuring of public safety, ensuring that critical investigations continue, and that they are free to pursue the criminal elements that is undermining our energy security. So we hope that this is part not of a shoestring gap stop measure, but of a coherent strategy to ensure our energy security going forward.
I wonder if this also speaks to, Eldred, the seriousness of what's going on at our power stations. One would even ask how we even got to this point in the first place, that you need the army deployed to various power stations. But part of the reason cited as to why these members should be deployed to the power stations is because of theft and sabotage. And we've heard this time and time again. But it obviously speaks to what's really going on there and what's probably contributing to the serious rolling blackouts that we are facing as a country.
Absolutely. We have been made aware of the fact that there are serious organized criminal elements involved, that there are people with serious resources and ability to undermine the state's ability to ensure that we have energy security. And this is a serious threat, as I said, to the country's national security interest, which is one that needs to ensure investor confidence, but more importantly, ensure that we all enjoy a quality of life. So given the seriousness of the threat to the state and to all of us, this has to be taken seriously. And we believe that this is also part of a much more longer term game that's probably been played for the last 10 to 15 years, which is to undermine the state's ability to rule. And we call that in intelligence terms a counter-systemic threat. So we've seen that in the police itself, that as an institution that's been eroded and their capabilities has been diminished. We saw it at Praxis. We see it now at Eskom. We have seen it at SASOL, and we've seen it at SAA. So across the board, state entities have systematically been eroded, and they've been the target of systematic criminal attack. Whether there's political interest in there, whether it's purely criminal interest, we don't know as yet. But what we understand from the Zondo Commission and others is that the state is under serious threat. And this is something to be concerned about.
I want to ask you about the fact that this deployment will be from April to October, so about 6 months or so. It seems rather short term at a very high cost, over 146 million rand. South Africans, especially on social media, are outraged about this, saying that why is it costing so much? We already employ soldiers. Why should this cost our government so much money? And for such a short term, given the volatility and the seriousness that is at our power stations?
Well, two things. We now know that extraordinary measures has to be taken to accommodate speed and to increase the mobility of the shoulders to ensure that they're comfortable where they are and that they can exercise their duties on a daily basis. So their physical and mental and operational health and needs has to be taken care of. However, we have to also offset this cost against the continued undermining of our confidence in the state. We have to offset the costs to industry and the threat to industry and manufacturing, and we have to offset the costs to the daily loss of employment and the impact on our quality of life. So if we measure the losses and the cost of rolling blackouts against the cost of this deployment, then this seems rather negligible. So I would only hope that the state actually provides a fuller briefing and understanding and takes us as citizens into the confidence, because yourselves and others have reported the cost of rolling blackouts to us as individuals, but also to companies and to us as a country. So let's offset this cost of 140-odd million rand against the cost of a loss of confidence, the cost to industry, and the cost to quality of life.
Certainly, and we do know what rolling blackouts has done as well to our inflation rate. The Reserve Bank governor was telling me earlier this week that 0.5% of our inflation at the moment is contributed to the rolling blackouts. So goods and services have had to increase because of that. Just very lastly, Eldred, I want to ask you if you think at the end of the day, with this cost involved, with the support of these SANDF members and the police, they are going to be able to really safeguard our power stations. It's quite alarming that we've reached this point where you have to have the military deployed at power stations, but unfortunately we are here. Do you think that this is the best way and the best solution to deal with these syndicates and these coal mafias that have been reported on at our various power stations?
In and of itself, Heidi, it can't be. It needs to be part of a larger comprehensive security strategy that the state actually employs. And that is the state recognizing that we have these threats and ensuring that each and every entity that works as part of our broader security apparatus work to a coherent plan and a coherent strategy. Otherwise, this becomes a confidence-building stopgap measure unless it becomes part of what you rightfully say, a comprehensive effort to deal with the organized criminality, but also to ensure that the governance of these institutions are put in place, that institutions, in fact, are built, and that the state can clearly articulate how it's going to ensure our energy, food, environmental and quality of life and governance security going forward, and that we see that public plan and that you and I can also speak to this plan. So we need more urgently now than ever a comprehensive security strategy on the table, and this needs to come from the President's office via Cabinet to Parliament and then to all of us to speak to.
Certainly, but something has really got to give. I mean, we cannot keep going on like this. But thank you so much for your insights. We do appreciate it. That was African Centre for Security and Intelligence Praxis, Principal Associate Eldred de Klerk. Now, staying with issues related to Eskom, dark times ahead this evening as power utility Eskom implements Stage 5 rolling